wave function collapse and how the universe acts as a mirror. The universe acts as a mirror to reflect back at you what you're not consciously aware of, because your purpose is to grow. In other words, to live, you're not meant to stay in your comfort zone, because that leads to stagnation. No seed, when planted in the ground, stays a seed, and no sapling stays a sapling. Every tree will grow. It just depends on if it's taken care of or not. If the body is a temple and the mind is a garden, we are both the tree and the gardener when exercising our free will. To give an example of this reflection in real time, let's say there's someone who has a deep fear of rejection. They're going to keep encountering instances in their life that will trigger that wound. So if you're with a partner and they leave you, that will trigger the wound and you will take it personally. This will be the universe showing you, wait a second, why does that hurt? Why do I need to rely on another person to make me feel whole and complete? I'm already complete. I wasn't born like I was having a missing puzzle piece of self. So what if this isn't just psychology? What if it's a fundamental aspect of physics, allowing us to quantify our subjective experience? In physics, there's what's known as specular reflection. There is the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection. Put simply, imagine a mirror and you shine light onto the mirror. The light will then bounce off back at you. This is what allows us to see ourselves. And the rule is that the angle of reflection is always equal to the angle that the light hits the mirror at. This angle of incidence is your subconscious mind. You have your logic conscious mind and your intuitive subconscious mind. And if you're given information that directly goes against or contradicts your logical mind or your worldview, your subconscious mind acts as a filter or a type of lens that will catch any of this information and not allow your conscious mind to actually process it. This is exactly like the beholder monster in D&D. That entire monster and its bestiary is actually just a analogy or an allegory for the human condition. But that's another story for another time. So this subconscious filter is what creates duality, a us versus them mentality. Good and bad, part of our tribe, not part of our tribe, a insider and an outsider in your group. And this was formed as a type of defense mechanism to keep us safe as we evolved. But it also limits you from being able to understand another person's perspective or viewpoint. And it all depends on the size of your worldview, which is in direct correlation to your understanding of yourself on a conscious and subconscious level. This is also why most people don't like philosophy, because you are learning new information that is directly contradicting your already pre-established worldview. So on a subconscious level, you're processing it as a painful experience because you're having to step outside of your comfort zone. Now, your subconscious mind, like I said earlier, can be viewed as a lens. It can either be small and highly focused, a narrow focus, and never grow, or you can incorporate different viewpoints or different lenses, which allows you to see the world from different people's perspectives. Again, just like the beholder from D&D. And the science behind this, we're going to have to go into wave function collapse. Now, this is that everything exists in a state of pure potentiality until it's actually measured. And once it is, it collapses down into a point within three-dimensional space. And the thing is, higher dimensional beings that we would call spirit guides or angels or even deities exist in a quantum superposition of pure potentiality. And when they manifest in our reality, they can take the form of synchronicities or even physical people. You probably just haven't recognized them at the time you're actually interacting with them. And I'll explain why in a second. So the reason for this, and by second I mean just now, the reason for this is because the angle of incidence, which is created by your subconscious mind, has to be matched by this higher dimensional being. So when they manifest into our reality, their angle of reflection has to match it. I'll give you an actual story from my own experience and from a tarot reader that I've heard online. My first encounter that I can recognize was in front of a psychic tarot reader's place. I was looking to get a tarot reading done, but they weren't there, so I rang the doorbell, and I waited, going, okay, And then I rang again. I didn't see anyone. And then around from the corner, this guy comes with two of his friends, and he says to his friend, "Hey man, it smells like shit behind there." And then he says to me, a complete stranger, "Hey man, it smells like shit behind there." And then he says one more time, "Man, it smells like shit behind that building." And then he walks off. This is a very strange interaction. You wouldn't have any reason to repeat what you just said to your friend, to me, a complete stranger, and then say it one more time, and then leave, walk around the corner, and I never see him again. Eventually I was like, okay, that was weird, and I left. Another time I was walking down the street, picking up some garbage, and someone comes up from behind me, and he's got a tie-dye tank top on, and he says, "Hey, it'd be great if they had some sticks that you could poke in trash and pick them up, or some gloves or something." Like, yeah, that'd be really great. And I didn't think anything of it at the time, but he just said that, and I was like, yeah, that'd be really cool. And he was like, okay, gotta go. And he left. He walked across the street, across lane to traffic. I mean, there wasn't any traffic coming, but still, there was a crosswalk like not too far up the street, and then he went around a building and disappeared. And my friend had told me earlier, like 2 days earlier, to stop picking up garbage without some gloves or something. I was going to catch something. And this other story I'm going to tell you is from someone named Meg. She is called the Draconic Priestess on YouTube. She was telling a story about how she was going through a spiritual awakening experience, so very intense. And she was in Walmart looking for Christmas lights. And as she's looking, their stock is really low and it's running out. And a man comes up to her and he says, "Oh, it sucks that they're running out. They're expensive." She replies, "Yeah, that sucks, yeah." And he replies, "Yep, it's a mystery." And she goes, "Yeah." Like, why is he acting this way? Like, why is he saying this? She's like, "It's a mystery." And she's like, "Yeah." And she made a point to say that he said it 3 times. And then turned around and walked away. And as he's walking away, she sees on the back of his jacket 2 phoenixes. a red one, and a blue one. Now, these beings are our spirit guides. These are spirits manifesting into physical reality. Now, the commonality between all these occurrences is that the guide will come from a position that you can't actually observe. So they're going to come around from the corner of a building or something that can't actually be physically viewed. So they are collapsing from higher dimensions into three-dimensional form or reality. They're manifesting. And then they go and interact with the person that they need to interact with to guide. But the thing is, they can't tell you or them directly, hey, this is who I am. This is the information that you need to understand. Because it's not that they don't want to, it's that they know that it's not going to do any good. Because our subconscious minds will simply filter out that information because we can't directly process it. And when they say this, the information that they give you is always phrased as a type of suggestion. Because if they directly tell you the thing, that means you're not clearing your karma. You're not reprogramming your subconscious mind through your own free will. You're not expanding your worldview. Now, another commonality is the rule of threes. The rule of threes is how the universe operates. So you get 3 chances whenever there's some sort of karmic lesson that needs to be learned. And if you don't grasp those 3 chances, you have to go through another loop, so to say. And again, it's not the universe is going, bad, you failed. That's not how it works. There is no pass or fail. It's that your subconscious mind wasn't able to change, and your conscious mind didn't have enough, I guess you could say, negative experiences to show you what it is you would actually like as a alternative to your current life, whatever that is and whatever the loop that you're caught in is. Now, another one is that they go around the corner, so they're no longer able to be observed. And then they dematerialize. So they are going from a collapsed three-dimensional perspective back to a quantum superposition. So put it another way, your spirit guide will manifest in our reality. You probably aren't going to recognize them as a spirit guide unless you're very tuned into the moment. They'll tell you what they need to tell you, and then they will go around somewhere else, like a corner, and dematerialize. And just like how the optimal conditions for entering the flow state, the path of least resistance, be it of either energy or of yourself, is to get slightly outside your comfort zone. Your spirit guide will manifest and give you the information that is slightly outside of your own perspective, your own subconscious perspective, allowing you to hopefully nudge your subconscious lens and expand your worldview. So how quantum superpositioning works is that every being has a toroidal field. That's your electromagnetic field. That's what the lemniscat, the infinity symbol, the seed of life is. It's a cross-section of a toroidal field. Now, higher dimensional beings also have these. They're like hyper-toroidal fields. Be them spirits, angels, or archetypal embodiments like Zeus or Lakshmi. We would normally call them deities. So when these hyper-dimensional toroidal fields collapse, they collapse into certain shapes like spheres. So the planets, hunks of rocks that we attribute to mythological features from stories, are actually physical 3D energetic representations of higher dimensional beings that exist in the realm of forms and ideas and archetypes that we, through the symbolic language of our subconscious, attribute their characteristics to in these three-dimensional manifestations. So Zeus and Jupiter and all that. It's the same way that shamans work with animals and mediums interact with spirits. It's just at a different scale. So the real question is, if the universe acts as a mirror, what is it that on a subconscious level you're tuning into? What's your angle of incidence and what's the angle of reflection? If you're vibrating high, you might have positive aspects be reflected back at you. If it's lower, you might have negative aspects. So if you're stuck in a war mentality or ruled by fear or scarcity, then that might happen. So pay attention to the synchronicities around you as they manifest and the messages that you keep getting, because they are direct messages from higher dimensional intelligences trying to guide you along your path to your state of flow, your path of what your soul truly yearns to do. So I hope you found this interesting. I'd love to know if you guys have any stories as far as any kind of experiences like this where you interacted with someone, and now given this context, can you think of anything like, oh, that's what that was? I'd be really interested. If you liked it, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I've got a link down below to my Patreon and my GoFundMe if you want to help support me and let me keep doing what I do. And I hope you have a great day.